Makers of racing games, action games, and flight sims, Gaijin Games releases have been hit or miss over the years. 2009's X-Blades is an example of good intentions gone horribly wrong, but the developer is taking another crack at the hot chick with the sword concept with Blades of Time, a spiritual successor to X-Blades. The second go-around includes a unique time mechanic that had the chance to set it apart from other action games, but the potential is ultimately squandered with poor execution.
Make use of the time rewind ability during the fight.
Today we'll set out for glory and wealth.
Blades of Time opens with a chaotic and confusing scene that leaves you scrambling to understand what's going on, and the messily scattered plot doesn't really come together as the game progresses. From what we could gather, you play as the young treasure hunter named Ayumi, who is trying to escape from an island while also attempting to uncover some of its long-held secrets. The plot lacks both development and direction, and features low-grade writing, so you won't be missing much if you decide to skip the majority of the cutscenes.
I'm sorry, Guildmaster, but I will use the sphere now. Sitting and waiting is not my style.
I said he's a liar.
Did you really think that I would believe you?
As far as action games go, Blades of Time's method of operation is about as typical as they come. Linear levels, plenty of repetitive combat situations against familiar foes, and little room for exploration amount to a generic game that does little to stand out. Character progression is a bit more interesting in that you'll unlock new skills and gear over the course of the game, but the upgrades are predictable and unexciting. Aside from the time manipulation ability Ayumi utilizes for battles and puzzles, there's nothing here you haven't seen before, and what's here isn't done particularly well. In addition to the quest, there's an online battle arena mode called Outbreak, where you battle it out with other human players, if you can manage to find other people playing the game. There's an offline option with AI bots, but with little variety in the layouts and objectives, things become tiresome no matter which map you're experiencing. The bottom line here is that neither mode will entice you to come back for seconds. Instead, you'll find it difficult to muster the willpower to finish the fairly brief campaign.
Do what you think is right. I'm going to try and find another way.
So this is where we go our separate ways then?
Treasure hunting? I guess you have no idea. There is no treasure, girl.
Blades of Time serves up a generic hack-and-slash action game with an emphasis on stringing together combos with two basic attacks. The game branches out eventually as you unlock new skills and can perform elemental-based special attacks that dish out additional damage or break through certain enemy defenses. You can also instantly change the game's dynamics by switching back and forth between your blades and your gun, but when you draw the firearm, the game shifts into a clumsy third-person shooter. There are better ways to handle gunplay in an action game like this, and while Blades of Time tries something a bit more ambitious, it doesn't quite pull it off. The game's time manipulation mechanic is another experiment. It lacks proper refinement, but does add some interest to the experience. You'll gain the ability to rewind time, but where other games simply take you back to a previous point in time, here a clone of Ayumi will be created each time the mechanic is used. Multiple versions of your character can be summoned on screen at any time, allowing you to distract enemies so you can attack them from behind, or simultaneously trigger multiple switches to solve an otherwise impossible puzzle. The problem is in the time tweaking's finicky nature. It simply doesn't function consistently and can actually hamper you in battle, often creating more problems than it solves. Nothing really seems to work exactly as it should in Blades of Time. Even basic actions like jumping can feel unresponsive and unreliable over the course of the game, leaving you with unfair fights, cheap deaths, and a real sense of frustration.
It must be horrible, being locked in a block of ice forever.
I don't know where this ship came from, but we'll repair it, load it with supplies, and peace out of this place.
Most of the characters and environments aren't particularly impressive, but the game occasionally provides you a decent view. Ayumi's idealized appearance might be eye candy to some, but it's hardly enough to carry a visual style that feels cluttered and overblown. Inconsistent technical performance results in some severe glitches, such as an entire environment failing to load. Character animations are rough in general, and frame rate hiccups are a regular occurrence. The game's few repetitive music tracks will only make an appearance during combat sequences, and don't be surprised if you're driven mad by Ayumi's incessant chatter by game's end.
I don't understand why the Sky Guards imprison Zero and the other humans. It would be more logical if they simply killed all of them.
Nothing can stop me. I'm determined to press on.
These words I have heard before.
The unique time manipulation element gave the game a chance to avoid falling into the pit of action game obscurity, but sloppy execution and a lack of polish ultimately doomed Blades of Time to be nothing more than a below-average action game. As it stands, these blades still need a lot more sharpening.
Oh no! And there's no place for me to go.